Welcome to the Homemade Mother. My name is Jasmine and this is my channel. I'm just gonna say it. I don't know how useful pregnancy apps or ovulation apps or period apps really are. I don't know if they're the best way to try to get pregnant by using them. But I did want to talk about how I have used them. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews, about apps, about the various different types of period tracking ovulation apps. There are so many out there and it's really hard to tell which ones are actually worthwhile using and which ones are just a waste of time. So today I'm going to give you my top 6 apps that I found from doing a bunch of research about the top apps that seem to get named a lot throughout people's posts. I'm going to be really brutally honest about every single one of them, and no, none of this is sponsored at all. This is just my personal opinion. But if it helps you, then great. I'm gonna jump into the pros and cons about whether these apps are worth your time or not worth your time. And again, these are the apps that I found most listed when looking for apps that are actually worth my time. Because I really like to do the research and I like to know what's actually the best, I decided, why wouldn't it be fun? Why would it not be fun if I, inputted my information into like 6 different apps? That wouldn't be time consuming at all, right? Okay, in all seriousness, it was a lot of work. And I actually found that I found the apps that I liked the most and I used those. And sometimes I would skip the ones that I didn't really like. But I'll still tell you all 6 of them. And I've used all of these apps for about a year. So the 6 apps that I've been using on and off, inputting all the information are Flow, Femometer, guys, I don't know how to say that one, but I'm gonna write it down below. Glow, Ovia Fertility, Natural Cycles, and Clue. These are the apps that I've been using for the last year and a bit. And I like them all for various reasons, but I like some a lot more than others. So I'm gonna go from the one I like the least to the ones I like the most. Okay, the first one is Flow. It's apparently the best app for women who don't have regular cycles, or at least that's what I have read. I really didn't find it, there wasn't anything special about it. It was fine. It was like most other apps that I've found for period tracking and ovulations. I did like the fact that it was pretty easy to use. I mean, honestly, like it was fine. There was nothing wrong with it. It worked. It wasn't the most accurate that I found, but if you have an irregular period, it might be worth trying. In the Flow app, there isn't tons of options of things that I can record, but sometimes that's better than having an overwhelming number of like, you can input this, and like trying to find that one thing you're looking for to input. Yeah, it can get a little overwhelming. So I liked the fact that this one was pretty simple, really easily laid out. I didn't love that it does often make me wait when I first log in because it's trying to get me to upgrade, which I never did. Overall, it was fine. I'm gonna pull up the app for you. Let's take a look. All right, so this is Flow. This is what the opening screen looks like. Got a bunch of insights down here I never really look at, but this is my log symptoms. You have a lot of options for different stuff. All of this. So ovulations and pregnancy. Basal body temperature is down here. Now you can add more things, and I believe you can move things around. trend. So I don't use oral contraceptives or other pills, and I'm not worried about what my breasts look like right now. So I don't have these ones up there, but those are options that you can add in. This is kind of what it looks like. And if we go out of here, if you look down here, it will show you your previous cycles, what they look like. Here's the history. Now this is in the upgrade. If you pay for it, you get to see this cycle trend. I'm not really sure what that would look like, but for me, I wasn't super interested. But I will jump into the calendar. This is what it looks like. All of the gray dots are me inputting information. I believe the hearts are having sex, and then the blue is ovulation. And then the circle is the day that they are estimating, or you're saying that you ovulated. And we can just go down here and it'll show me the next couple of months. And that's what that looks like. Not super complicated, but again, like super simple. I wasn't a huge fan. It's not the most accurate, I find, but it's not a bad app overall. And I'm honestly not sure what the premium really does for you other than this spot right here. That's the only thing I have seen that I would get if I paid for it, and I didn't really feel like I needed that. There are these insights, and I don't know, maybe you would get more in that. And then there's a secrets chat section that I've never used. I don't know, some people might be interested, but for me, I kind of just left it alone. Just want to input my information. So this is what it looks like. This is Flow. Okay, the next one is the femometer. Femometer? Guys, somebody tell me how to say this properly, because every time I read it, I'm just like, and I feel ridiculous saying it. So somebody correct me on this. I will not be offended. If, for the life of me, it just looks really strange. So this one, I really liked the fact that I could take a picture of my pee stick. I know that sounds really, really gross, but like, you know, when you're using the ovulation pee sticks, which I used and I love, by the way, I will actually link my favorite ones down below. You're welcome. When I was using my pee stick, I love the fact that this app allowed me to take a picture of it to better track it, so that I could then look back at the picture later, just so that I could have an actual documentation and I didn't have to constantly take a picture in my camera on my phone. Do you know what I mean? That was my favorite part of this app. I also liked the fact that it helped to read it for me. Like I could adjust it if I felt like it wasn't saying it right, but it would read it and it would tell me what it thought the stick's accuracy was, which I found useful because sometimes I was like, I don't know, is this a positive? Is that a negative? Is it even showing? Like, I don't know. Okay, the one thing I wanted to note about this app is if you are somebody who is super precise, like I'm pretty accurate and I'm not somebody who just kind of willy-nilly does stuff. But this to me felt a little extreme, but you could record the exact time you peed on the stick, or the exact time you took your temperature, or the exact time you had sex. I liked that feature, but at the same time, I found it kind of annoying when I just wanted to input the information. In order for me to input it, I had to also input the exact time. And if I didn't know the exact time, I could scroll all the way down to the bottom and say, I don't know, which always made me feel like, why don't I know this? Which I didn't love. But if you really wanted to keep very accurate track of every time you took your basal body temperature or you peed on a stick, this is a great app for that because it was super precise. And it recorded all of that for you. One thing that really bothered me is it's constantly popping up ads. It's not as bad as one of the other ones that I'm going to tell you about, but this one drove me nuts because ads were popping up all the time. This app overall, I would say, was fairly accurate. It was easy to use. I did like the fact that I could record my pee stick. I liked the fact that I could input times. I didn't like the fact that I had to. And I didn't like the ads. Not my favorite app, but definitely not bad app. Okay, so let me show you what it looks like on my phone. All right, this is Femometer. Yeah, blank screen always seems to be the thing. I think it's just a glitch of an ad, but it makes me wait for so long. I don't understand. It's ridiculous. Here, I'll just like stare at a blank screen. It's fine. And right at the top, you can see there is an ad again to upgrade. You're getting a discount or whatever. But this is what the open screen looks like. If I click on the plus in the pink, I can record something. There are a bunch of different options of what I can record. This is my list. Now, if I click on the LH test, that's the one I was telling you guys about, I have the option to intelligently record or log manual. If I intelligently record, that's when it takes the picture and helps me read the stick. Otherwise, I can just input it myself. If I wanted to add symptoms, it pops me over here to add in stuff. I can also add notes if I want. Obviously, I can record the sex, and again, it tells you that time. And you can scroll down to the bottom and say, I forget, which I always feel really bad about saying. But you can talk about what kind of sex you had and the timing of it, which I did find really nice. Same with ovulation. Did you ovulate? If I said yes, then it would ask me a bunch of questions. Spotting, they asked for the color, the flow, what all of that looks like. I love that they asked me these details just because then I can be just that much more accurate. And that's the one thing that this period tracker did really well, was allow me to input things very precisely. Now I can add more options if I go into the settings. There is stuff that I don't have because I didn't find it useful or I don't do it. But you could have these options if you wanted, and I did like that I could add or remove things. Like most of them seem to be able to do that, so I found that useful. When I go back to the home screen, we'll go to the calendar, and this is what it looks like. It's not accurate, but it's also not the most accurate, but it does tell you exactly what all of the symbols mean. And I find that really nice that I can actually read and see what all of that meant. Because sometimes you're like looking at the thing and you're not really sure what that's saying. Then an analysis, I've never actually looked at this, to be honest, just because I don't really need somebody to interpret it for me. But this is something that I would have to pay for, which is also why I don't look at it. And then we can look at the chart. The chart is telling us all different stuff, cycles and the lengths, and they're all pretty even, which I'm not surprised about. And then there is content you can read. This seems to be something that's becoming more and more a thing on all of these apps, is them giving you information about all sorts of different period cycle related things. I love that it's like really simple and plain on the front screen. I think that's what makes it the easiest. But this is what Femometer looks like. The next one is Glow. Now this one has a pretty high rating, but I think I hate this one the most. The reason it's not at the bottom of my list is because it is a good app, but honestly, this app bombards you with advertisements. It's so frustrating. You're constantly getting thrown this ad and upgrade and da-da-da, and I just can't stand it. It was so frustrating to constantly have to X out and wait for the thing to let me skip it, and like there's all of this extra stuff that I really didn't feel like I needed. Like there were all of those advice panels and articles, and like sometimes people find that really useful. For me, I would rather go research it on my computer than have it thrown in my face on an app. That's just me. Some people like that. Some people won't go looking on their computer. And if that's you, this is probably a good app because it has a lot of information that you can just scroll through. I did like the fact that, again, this app also would let me record my pee stick, and it would also try to guess what the actual pee stick was saying. I think that's my favorite feature on this whole app, is because I could easily move the bar if I felt like it recorded it wrong, up or down, either way. I also liked the fact that I could easily track my temperature on this one. However, the thing I found really frustrating was unless I upgraded and paid the money, I couldn't see what it looked like on the chart. Like, did my temperature spike? Did it drop? I don't know, because in order for me to see those features, I had to pay for it. That was frustrating. Overall, this app was fine. Usability was pretty good. I did find that I often forgot how to record things or how to input my period or that kind of stuff because there were so many buttons on the screen. To me, it was just a little bit confusing, and especially when I'm waking up early in the morning and trying to quickly input stuff, it got a little overwhelming to see all of that at the same time. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. We're gonna jump into the app, and I bet you there's gonna be an ad. So this is Glow, and I'm actually really surprised that an ad didn't pop up because there always seems to be. But if you notice, there is so much just like thrown in your face. Now, if I click on log, I do have a bunch of options. Again, it has that ovulation test where I can take a picture, but it'll scan it for me and it'll record it, or I can pick a brand that's a digital test. This is all of the stuff I can input. Some of the stuff you have to click into in order to be able to see all of the options. And I do like the fact that I can record whether it was a mild, moderate, or severe headache, cramp, or whatever. I do like that part. So if you upgrade, you can see the patterns between all of that stuff, but I didn't feel like that was necessary. If I go to the top, I can customize, I can adjust things. I don't think I have an option to remove stuff, but I can, oh, no, right there. These are the options down here of stuff that I don't have on my screen because I don't find it useful. But yeah, this is what I can adjust. And you can go in here and click on a date to input the information. In order to save the information, you have to click Save and Analyze. Otherwise, it doesn't record it for you, which is just an extra step that I didn't think was necessary. As you can see, there are options on this top screen of quickly putting things in, and I did like that. I like that I could click on, the ovulation or the spotting or whatever. In the Analyze section, this is something I find really frustrating. It won't really analyze anything for me because I have to upgrade. Can't look at most of the charts. This is just examples that they're showing me. But in order to see all this stuff, I have to upgrade. And I really don't want to. Not that anything's wrong with this stuff, but I find it frustrating that I can only sort of see all of this information. And also I find it a little overwhelming because there's so much. But if you really want that stuff, this might be a good app for you. There's just so much you can do with this app. It's too much for me. There's all this community, you can talk to people, you can also recommend stuff. People are recommending things they really love, which is kind of cool, but I don't know if I need this on my cycle app. Click onto the calendar. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like if it's guessing. It's not inaccurate, but it's not the most accurate I found. It's a little bit off from what other cycles are telling me. Again, if I look into this chart, I can't see anything. It doesn't let me read it, which I find super frustrating that I have to pay for that. And then it'll recap what I have logged. So this is Glow, and shockingly, I have not upgraded. I just don't think any of it's worth it for me. The charting is just a little bit too much. But it does tell you can forecast better, analyze your cycle better, advanced charting, health summary. But see, it keeps popping up and like, hey, buy me. And that just deters me personally from wanting to buy it. I don't know about you guys, but like seeing this, super frustrating. The next one is the Ovia Fertility. I really liked this app because I could put so much information into it. If you wanted a place to just store a bunch of stuff, like how much water you're drinking, what food you're eating, how much servings of each of those you're getting, what kind of exercise you're doing, what your mood is, like all these different symptoms, and like there's so much. Sometimes that was a little bit overwhelming because there was so much, but I also loved that I could put in so much information and keep it in one place. I didn't have to have another app to input all of that stuff. It could all be the same. I didn't love it because it was not as accurate as a few others that I have tried. And again, maybe it was just the fact that I wasn't putting enough information in. I felt like I was doing a decent amount. Did like it. It was very user-friendly. The calendar was very clear about telling me like what was happening and what this meant and what that meant. And I really liked all of the features of that, except for the fact that it really felt like it wasn't quite accurate. Let me show you what it looks like and how much information you can actually put in. Let's go. Okay, so this is Ovia. This is what the front page looks like. We can scroll over here to see the forecast. It's just kind of telling me that I'm not ovulating in the near future, so the percentage of pregnancy is very low right now. And then there's all of these information. They are very focused on health, which I find interesting, and they do ask you questions from time to time to check in. And I believe there is also a doctor that you can talk to if you click on health. And this is the calendar. It lays it all out. It tells me exactly what I've recorded. I can click on things and it'll pop me into the recorded section. The dots, the little drops are, it's estimating that's when I'm gonna have my period, and then it'll turn red when I actually record it. The yellow is my fertility window, and if there's a blue dot on it, that is when I'm ovulating. Now, if I click on the plus, I can go in here and there is so much I can record. There is periods and intercourse and my mood. There's so many symptoms I can add in, and I can even look for them if I want to. I can talk about my fluid. There's the ovulation test. Now, if I click on this, it'll actually ask me what it says. And I find that really cool. I love that it's like very precise. It also asks you like how much you slept, what kind of activity you got, what does the weight say? There's the nutrition. How much of each serving did you get? Did you get caffeine? Did you have alcohol? Here's your relationship. If we go in here, we can add or remove. I don't use medications or anything like that, so I didn't need to record that. And there's the community where you can talk to people and talk about different things. You can look at a fertility chart. Ooh, look at that pop. So this is Ovia, and I actually really liked it. I found it super great, really easy to use, so much information that I could put in. Okay, the next app I have is Natural Cycles. Now, all of the apps before this, I have never paid for them. They were all free. Some of them didn't work as well if they were free, but they still worked. This app, Natural Cycles, is the only app I know of that you have to pay for in order to use. And I did end up paying for it on a recommendation from somebody who I know and trust. They told me they really loved it, that it was the best way for them to track their ovulation and really accurately tell them whether or not they needed to have protection or not to keep from getting pregnant. And if you were that person, this cycle app might be for you, but you have to pay for it. And it's not crazy expensive, but it wasn't cheap either. I did like the fact that they actually sent me a thermometer to go with it. I didn't realize when I purchased it that the reason they did this was because the only way to use this app is to track your basal body temperature. Everything else is only sort of useful information. In fact, out of all of the apps I've used, this one had the least amount that I could input. And that actually really bothered me because there were things I wanted to track that I couldn't track. Why? They seem very, very focused on basal body temperature. And some people are super great at recording that every single day. I am not one of them. I'm really terrible at remembering to record my temperature. One, because when using this thermometer, oh my gosh, it's so loud. It beeps like 5 or 6 times when it finally records my temperature. But you're supposed to take your temperature in bed before you get up. And I'm always up before my husband. So I'm always worried that my thermometer beeping is waking him up. So I feel really silly and sometimes purposely didn't take my temperature because I didn't want to wake my husband up. What the heck? Why is it so loud? Okay, this app was supposed to be a great contraceptive, and I felt like it was decently accurate. I clearly didn't input enough information consistently that it really accurately recorded my cycle, because the only thing that really seems to matter is the basal body temperature. But the more information I added, the more accurate it became. I would say if you're willing to be dedicated with an app and record your temperature every single day, this might be the app for you. It might be a really great alternative to birth control because it's fairly accurate as long as you're consistent. I was not in love with it. I didn't love their pee sticks. They were only okay. They didn't work as effectively as some other ones that I have had. I don't know. It was too rigid. And that's my answer. This app actually did work. It was functional. It was super, super simple. Like, not complicated to use at all because there's like basically nothing you could do with it. So if you want something simple and just you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and you get this habit and routine, natural cycles, you have to pay for it, but it might be worth it. Now let me show you what I mean. Here we go. Okay, this is natural cycles. This is what pops up when I first open the app. If I want to record something, right away it'll ask what my temperature is. That's the first thing it lets me enter, but this is what the other stuff is. So there is bleeding, sex, tests, pain. That's it, guys. Like, this is all it lets you record. You can't add anything, but I can go and look at the graph. It's showing what my spiking is doing, which I like. If I go into the month, if you see the green means that I'm not fertile, the pink means that I'm getting fertile, and the red means that I am more than likely going to get pregnant. This is their way of telling you that the green is a safe time to have sex. The pink is probably not a safe time, and the red is definitely not a safe time if you want to do it unprotected. But I do like the fact that they are very precise about it, and they record it for you in that way. I can also look back at the history and what exactly I recorded. Obviously, I skipped a few days, but I love that it's fairly simple and it's really obvious. It tells me exactly what today is like. I can go into here and it'll show me my cycle and what it's looking like. It'll also tell me my insights about like how long it is and all of that stuff. Now this section, honestly guys, I'm not really entirely sure what it's for. Like it's supposed to tell me all sorts of stuff, but I just find it annoying because it'll pop up with a notification, like, you know, when you have an app and it has a little red dot on it, drives me nuts. So I have to click on it. And then there is also a learning section. So I can click on these and it'll tell me more about all of this stuff. So overall, it is a good app, but I don't like that it only lets me record my basal body temperature and that I have to pay for it. But, actually, the one thing I do want to note is that even though I do have to pay for it, if I get pregnant, they actually don't charge me for the 9 months that I'm pregnant. And that's kind of nice. The last app I'm going to tell you about is Clue. This is my favorite app. I love this one the most. There isn't extra steps involved. It's very clear about everything it's telling you. And it was the most accurate. Even if I just inputted my period and that's it, it was really accurate. It was like basically spot on every single time. This was the app that every single time I was like, oh, am I getting close to my period? Am I gonna bleed soon? Or am I gonna ovulate? Like this was the one I always opened first to get that information. It was not any of the other ones because this one was always right. And maybe it's my kind of cycle. Maybe it's the information I input. Honestly, I'm not really sure, guys. I should have been like more strict about what exactly I was doing, but I found this one to be the most useful, the easiest to use, and the most accurate. And I really loved that I didn't have to upgrade and I didn't get bombarded with ads all the time in order to use it. Now you have the option to upgrade, and I actually think I might in the future, just solely so that I can support this app, because out of all of them, this is the one that I used and trusted the most. This app accurately gave me 3 cycles in the future. If I paid for the app, I think it would give me 6. I didn't really feel like I needed to know that far in advance. There are a decent number of categories that you can go through to input information. Yeah, there totally could be more, but honestly, I'm not complaining about the amount that is listed. It's really easy to enter the information. Yeah, all around, I really like this app. I found it really easy to use, and it's the one I trust. It's the one I consistently go to when I need to. Now let me show you what it looks like. This is Clue. This is my favorite one. It tells me all about my cycle. I can go back and look at all these different days. They don't actually tell you that you're going to ovulate. They say this is a potential. But if you go in and start tracking, it becomes more and more accurate. So this is what we can track. And it's really, really simple, but also super easy to track. We go through all of this. There's all these different things. And it's so, so clear. I think there are more things that I just don't have included, but this is all the stuff, guys. Oh yeah, look, if I click on this, there's not a ton I don't have on, but there is all these other things that if I wanted to, I could include and record. And it's all like color coded. I go back out here and you can see the little blue, yellow, green, red, all of those dots tells you that that's what I've been recording. And if you look back in here, they're all color coded and you can tell what you were tracking. Now, if I go into my calendar, this is my previous months and it'll show me what it's predicting for the next 3 months. And then if I want, I can get 3 extra cycles if I upgrade. I don't really feel like I need that, so I haven't gotten it yet. And then it analyzes it for me. I have noticed that I'm gonna make this note on this one that the natural cycles didn't actually have this screen or this screen until probably a month ago. And then it added it, and I really feel like they were just copying Clue. But I really like this. So if I wanted to learn more information, I do have to upgrade. That's why there's locks on there. But I can look back at my current cycle and see all of the days where I recorded certain things. And I love that I can just like look back and see like, what did I do? What was I feeling? What were my symptoms? I can easily look back at all of that stuff. Then there's content, which this is new to Clue. They didn't have this before. You can get into this stuff. They're really trying to make it more of a Clue Plus thing, which I don't have, but I do feel like I probably will get it in the near future. So this is Clue. It does tell you lots of information. It always tells you about the updates, and you can change what your goal is in the settings. That's Clue. It's the app I love. It's super simple and it's so accurate. So I've told you all the information about these apps, the reasons I like them, the reasons I don't like them. Now take this information and do what you want with it. Try them all. Take my word, try a few. Honestly, I really just hope that this helps you, because if I had found a video that could have just easily thrown out the information, like maybe you're somebody who's like, oh my gosh, exact timing, yes, that's exactly what I want. I'm gonna go download that app. If it was me, and I was looking for something, this would be the video I'd be looking for. There you go. I hope this helps you feel a little bit more confident, understand your cycle a little bit better, and maybe, just maybe, be a little bit more homemade. All right, that's it. Bye, lovelies. Gotta drink my tea.